everybody, welcome to a new video of James Speed Shop. Today we're back at Henk Groten with this very nice R107 SL560. So 560 model, original never delivered in Europe, but they were delivered in Canada, Japan and Asia with small bumpers and non-US headlights, let's call it like that. But the engine specifications were for the US market. So this is a low compression engine, 109, for emission regulations in the US. So they never came with the high horsepower engines, but it's still a very nice car. So this is in 1987. They came on the market in 1986 till 1989. They built just under 50,000 cars. So this particular car has done just under 60,000 kilometers. So and it's an original car in a very nice condition. So the R107 came also in an SLC, so in a coupe version, but that was produced up till 1981. So the R107 came on the market in 1971 till 1989. So I think it's the longest produced SL Mercedes built. So they came in a lot of versions, but this is really the last and the top version. So pretty nice model. So we still have a nice trunk space. Sticks a little bit. This is 260 liters. There's a little bubble in here, that's where the spare wheel is. Battery is in the back. So pretty good boot space. So no lips like any modern SLs that you have to close when you want to get the roof down. This is just it. 260 liters. I think when you have the SLC it's a little bit bigger. I think it's just over 400. So yeah, pretty nice compartment. Interior, pretty classic. Looks like all the other cars out of this period, like a W123 and the W116. So came of course with electrical windows. This car is also air conditioning, and you can see it is just under 60,000 kilometers. Original Becker radio in it. Nice leather interior, no back seat. I think these cars never came with a back seat. The SLC you have also with a back seat. You can see it's pretty clean. I also like this cockpit. Seating position is nice. Also already with an airbag. So let's look under the hood. So the 560 version is a stroked 5 liter. So it's an M117 969 engine, this particular one. So that's the low compression 5.6 liter. So it's a 5547 cc's. They stroked this engine from 85 millimeters to 94.5 millimeters. So longer stroke means more torque. So yeah, pretty nice design. Also these engines are very strong. They are like built also with a double extra head studs. So you normally have 4 head studs. This one has extra head studs around the cylinder. So it's pretty solid engine. Also this case an alloy seal engine block. So they also came in iron engine blocks. I think it was before 1978. That was the M116. That was, for example, then you had the 4.5 liter, and when the M117 came it became a 5 liter. So when the 5.6 came on the market in 1985, 1986 they came. So this particular version has 230 horsepower and 389 Newton meters because of the low compression, low emission regulations. But you had also versions of the 5.6 with a 1.10 compression ratio, and then you had 300 horsepower and 455 Newton meters. So let's have a drive. Closing the windows. Nice V8 sound. So let's have a drive in this 1987 SL560. I think already the seating position, I really like this kind of seating position. It feels very sporty. So the last 560 I drove was, I think, a 560 SEC. I did two in the past, 560 SEC and a 560 SL W126 models. So, and this is the first R107 I drive, so the first SL from the 80s. And yeah, it feels more, if you drive an R129 or an R230, yeah, they feel different, they feel much bigger. This really feels like an SL, where the name stands for, SL super light. So yeah, this is still not super light, it weighs 1656 kilos. But it feels much smaller and much sportier. I don't know, it just, yeah, it feels very nice, these cars. So built from 1986 to 1989, the 560 model. The R107 model in total was built 300,175 times from 1971 till 1989. That's included the SLC version, so the hardtop versions with the coupes, you could say. So it's with non-convertible cars that were also called R107, or some people maybe call them C107. That's also a possibility. But they were built from 1971 till 1981. After I did look up why they stopped building these SLCs, but they produced them much less. I think they produced them 65,000 something times in total in that 10 years that the SLC was in production. So the other 237,000 cars were SLs like this, and from that 49,000 cars were 560. So that's a lot. If you compare it, that's almost 50, or almost a fifth of all the SLs were 560 models. So this 560 version was built not for the European market, it was produced for the American market, so the USA market. And this 560 came only on the market with a low compression engine, so low emissions version, and it has a compression ratio of 1:9, and the engine code is M117969, so that's a low compression engine. And yeah, it had also less horsepower. I think that's a little bit of a shame, because these engines are still pretty torquey, but yeah, the European versions had a compression ratio of 1:10, but yet it was then in the W126 560 models, the SEC and the SEL, and yeah, they had just more horsepower. You had then 279 and 300, depends if you have a cat version or not, and then the torque was maxed to 455 Newton meters, and this particular version has 389 Newton meters, 230 horsepower, so it's the lowest output version. And if you then compare it to the European 500 SL, so that's the normal engine, so this is a stroked crankshaft that's in here. So the European 500 SL had a power level of 265 horsepower and 405 Newton meters, and it was a pretty fast car. 6.9 seconds to 100 in the 80s was fast. So you can still compare it to a Ferrari from that time. They were not very fast, not much faster. So it was a pretty fast car. And if this car is still pretty torquey, it's the drivability of this V8 is very good. The pickup is also very good. So after 1980 you got a 4-speed automatic that's much better than the older 3-speeds that you also had in the W116. Yeah, so this is the gearing ratio of these cars was much better after 1980. So after 1985 these cars get Kiatronic fuel injection. So the 560 engines also only came with the Kiatronic fuel injection. And if these fuel injections were good, then this is a very nice car to drive. If you get problems with it, the system gets older, a lot of people just don't know how they work and they fuck them up. So yeah, if you want to buy a car like this, make sure it drives good. And yeah, if it's not working good, you have to know what you're doing, because personally I'm not a fan of the Kiatronic system, but yeah, I also don't have a lot of knowledge of these Kiatronic injections. So if I buy a car like this, I would modernize it to the modern fuel injection, but yet then it will lower the price of this classic, because this is expensive because it's yeah, so original and so low kilometers on it. Only 60,000 kilometers, that's like 40,000 miles, 35,000 miles or something. So yeah, so this particular car does 0 to 108 seconds, but still pretty good for that era. Fuel economy was 13.6 liters on 100 kilometers. That's like 1 on 7. In gallons and miles I don't know, but that's in kilometers. So this particular car is delivered with European headlights and European bumpers. So it's the outside of the car is a European version, but in Europe you could not. It was not offered, but it was offered in the Canadian market and in the Asian and Japanese market. But you still had the low emissions engine, and this particular car was new delivered in Japan in 1987, so it's imported. But yeah, a lot of cars that came out of Japan are still, the condition is just very good, because Japanese guys they like to polish it, and yeah, so it's just, yeah, the drivability of this car is very good. If you mention these cars are almost over 35 years old, and you can easily still get in the range of modern classics, modern cars, power range wise. Also this low power version can still do that. So yeah, like I said, it's a stroked engine, so the bore in this engine block is the same, and the stroke is enlarged, so that's a lot. And yeah, that's why these engines, they produce more power, but the torque level is much higher if you compare it to the same compression level. So if you compare like a 5.6 to a 5 liter in the high compression version, then you got from 265 horsepower to 300 horsepower, and 405 newton meters to 455 newton meters. So yeah, that's a nice improvement, I think. There's also people that say the 5.6 does not run as nice as a 5 liter. M117, it's a little bit, yeah, more unstable. Yeah, I personally I don't really feel that, but yeah, I think it's a nice car. It's still air conditioning, bigger radio. I think the interior is, I really like this interior, pretty nice. If you have an SLC, you could also have them with a rear seat. I think these SLs never came with a rear seat. Not sure about that, because the Pagode that was before that, you had an option that was called, I think, California seat or something. So I'm not sure how it is with these R107s, but yeah, nice car. So we can do acceleration tests with this model. Have a look if it can reach around the 8 seconds. You can see that on the video, and pause it and start it when I do it. So yeah, we'll leave the roof on because it's already cold in here. So I'm not going to drive as a convertible. So let's do an acceleration test. So that's between the acceleration is pretty nice. So I put the camera on the clock and you can see it's how it drives. So what I really can see is compared to a W123, I think that's even have a longer dashboard. Also an SL of SLC and an SEC has also a longer dashboard, so I can click this on the window and still have it in front of the steering wheel. So I hope you can see it a little bit with the sun. So just have it in D. Let's have a look how good this acceleration is. For a 35-year-old SL, this drives really good. I really started to like this car. Still, could you imagine if you have more power in this particular vehicle? It's just really nice. Really cool. So it's also nice to mention is these cars have front double wishbone suspension. In the rear it is a rear diagonal swing arm. So that means that the wheel carrier is connected to the bottom wishbone. So if you lower a car like this, it will spring in or out, the wheel will tilt like this. And yeah, that's the only downside I think of these older cars. So if you like a W124 or a W201, they had already different suspension in the back with wishbones also on the top, so that your wheel stays more straight like this when you spring in. So for the rest, there's also a double of disc brakes all around. So also in the front and the back, Mercedes already had it for a very long time. So also on these particular cars. So that was pretty cool. Also about the engine block, it is an alloy seal engine block. So from 1980 you got alloy seal that's used in a wide range of cars. It was a technology, I think it was from Copeland Smith. So you had an aluminium engine block with a cylinder bushing that was alloy seal, so 20% silicium I think it was, and these cylinders were then bored to a certain size, and then it was used with a kind of paste that they were polished, and then the aluminium was etched out of the silicium. The silicium stayed in, and it was a pretty hard cylinder wall. That's what how these engines were made, and they can last a very long time, but you need to do oil changes in these particular cars. Like the sportiveness driving of this car. It really surprised me because I never drove an SL from this type, and yeah, very nice to drive. I didn't expect that. Well, it's not really too much nose heavy because it's a pretty heavy engine, the 560 engine of course, but you really like it. It still gives you the small feeling of an SL, like it should be. And still, yeah, the window rubber is a little bit not closing that good, but the rest, it's just really nice gearing also. Very nice torque also from this lower emissions engine. So I hope you like this video about this SL560 from 1987. Very nice car. If you want to know more about this car, have a look on henkgroten.nl. I put a link below the video. Also don't forget to have a look on my website janespeedshop.com. That is over here. You can also find a link there to henkgroten.nl, and you can see where this particular car is for sale, and also the other Mercedes classics that this company has for sale, because they have a very nice and wide range of cars. So have a look on the website. So about this particular car, what's my opinion? I never drove an R107 before, so personally I'm not really a convertible guy, so I would prefer an SLC for me personally, but the drivability of this car has really surprised me. It's just very fun to drive. So I drove more cars out of this era, but this SL is really a sporty version of what a W123 is not, and a W16 is also not. So this is really a different car that Mercedes made in that period. And also still this power delivery of this lower output engine is still very good. I really enjoy it. It really drives very nice. So hope you like this video. If you got any comments, leave them below the video, or I'll try to answer everything. So I'm going to enjoy the last kilometers in this car, and see you for the next video. Bye bye.